Next question is, what is SAP Best Practices? You might have heard about this term in quite a number of places or in quite a number of interviews. But what really is best practices? I would like to give you a very simple example of a best practice. Think of best practice like a template or even like a recipe. So if you want to make a bowl of the chicken soup, so this is your chicken soup, and in order to make it, you need chicken stock, and then you need maybe some noodles, and then a ton of ingredients like onions or carrots or whatever that are specific to the kind of chicken soup that you're making. Now let's say in order to make this chicken stock, you need 1 hour, and to boil the noodles you need 10 minutes, and then all of this stuff requires like 30 minutes. So in total you require, say, 2 hours to make your chicken soup. What if you could cut down on this, because it's really a stock item? So if there is a way through which you can just take the chicken stock out of the cupboard, then start using it directly, you will save on 1 hour. So what you have there is a ready-made template, and if you follow that recipe you get chicken stock, and then on top of that you do your customization and you get the chicken soup that you want, right? So best practice is also very similar to that. Say you're doing this SAP implementation, and where do you start? You start with your basic out of the box SAP out of the box SAP instance, and then you gather your requirements from the different users. So requirements, and then you put it in an FS functional specification, and then you make your technical specifications, and when you bake them into your system you get your customized solution. Very much like making your chicken soup, a customized chicken soup. So this is the traditional standard approach. What's the problem with this? Like we discussed with the chicken soup, it's time consuming. Now, there are situations where you would have to make things from scratch because of the complexity involved or the amount of tolerance that the client gives you. Because sometimes some requirements have to be met the way they are. There is no going around it. In such cases, you can't really use a template. So you have to build everything from scratch. But in most cases, where there is a standard template of doing things in a particular way, why not rather use that template rather than doing everything from scratch, which is time consuming? The second point that's a problem with this traditional approach is standardization. What is standardization? If an intercompany transaction needs to be done, it can be done in a variety of ways. I'm talking about the details. But for the most part, the bulk of the companies do intercompany transactions in a particular way. And that's all there is to it. If you have a template, a standardized way of doing things, why not implement it in most of the situations where you don't really need to tweak the system too much? That's what I call by standardization. So if there is a standardized template that solves your problem, use it. Instead of going around and fiddling with the details and then making a customized solution that's not really standard, and then trying to implement it trying to push it onto the users, or the users pushing back on you, it's better that we go with a standardized solution because it worked elsewhere and in all probability it will work here. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't, and when it doesn't, yeah, go with your custom solution. So to go around this problem, let's see what we can do. Okay, now we have our requirements and we have best practices. Now, do these match? If yes, then just implement best practices, the standardized template, and then you're done. You don't need to do these FSS and TSS and whatnot. If it's not a match, then you can do two things. One is write an FS that details the requirement around that business scenario. Try and see if the best practices kind of match, like a 60% match or a 70% match. If yes, then implement your best practices and then later modify to suit your requirements. If they don't match at all, which is like a no, yeah, write your own spec. Don't bother implementing best practices. Just do your own implementation of technical specs and then the coding, blah, 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 the configuration, and you have the final solution. Let me give you an example of this. Like I was discussing, the intercompany scenario. So an intercompany scenario comprises of, say, let me give you some examples of scenarios. For example, intercompany customization. There's a standard best practices template for intercompany customization. For example, how to implement intercompany stock transfer, how to implement intercompany sales, how to implement intra-company sales, or how to implement intra-company stock transfer. Like for example, an intercompany scenario consists of setting up intercompany billing, setting up the enterprise structure assignments, setting up intercompany pricing conditions. So it involves a couple of steps, 4 or 5 of them, and the standard SAP best practices already gives you all that in a package. So you can just use it, or you can just build all of this from scratch. If you just use it, it'll save you like 2 weeks of time. If you just do everything from scratch, so you'll just end up spending 2 weeks or even 4 weeks of it trying to do it your own way. So there's no right or wrong approach. It's just trying to see if your requirements match the best practices, and if it does, use it. If not, go your own way.